Hey everybody, Soybean Farmer here. Uh, Last week on my day off, I wanted to use this tank sprayer to go out and spray some selective herbicide on the lawn, knock down some of this winter weed growth. And I got to rolling along, and I looked back at that thing, and it was all messed up. And the problem was this tire gave up. You can see there the side wall separated from it, and it's separated over here like that. And what this is a real inexpensive rim with no bead on it, and so it had to use a tube and a tire, and the bearings are kind of crunchy in here too. So I went out and I said, alright, I'll get another tire and a tube, and I went and priced them, and believe it or not, this one's still good. That tire and the tube came to $40. I couldn't believe it. I said, no, let's look around. Good old Harbor Freight. Went over to Harbor Freight, and you get tire, yes, got a tube, new rim, new bearings in here, $15. So I figured out, hey, I can get two tires, two all new, for less than I can buy a tire and a tube. I'm going to do it. Well, then I got to looking at some differences here. The standoff on this side is, that wide. Standoff on that side, same width. That was going to change things up with the spacers that went on the axle, because on the old one here, this side no standoff, and on that side a short standoff. So I went ahead and bought these tires and kind of had it in my mind, this is the spacer that goes on the axle, and I thought maybe this is plastic. I could cut off about, that much of it. Thank God I did not cut it, because when I got to looking at things over here on the sprayer with the original axle, there's a hole here for a pin, and to get both wheels on, what was going to happen, to get that pin right up against here and pin it, this thing was going to rub on the tank. Basically the axle was too short. You can see the pin holes are right out at the end of the axle here, so there was no way that I was going to have enough axle, even if I did cut off that spacer, to make it work. This morning I went out, searched around, searched around before I left the house on websites, and found out that Tractor Supply had steel bar stock, and they had the piece that was the right diameter to make that spacer work. So what I get to do now is play with my drill a hole here for the keeper pin that'll go on the end of it, put things together, find the correct length over here, drill the hole, check it, make sure it's right, and then cut off what I'm thinking is going to be about that much of this bar here. So it's a project down here at the shop to get my sprayer back in service. But I'm liking these tires because, well, not a good comparison with a flat one, but it's going to be a little taller, and that's going to make cleaning out the sprayer easier, because it'll be higher off the ground, which means I'll have a better slope for leaning it back to flush it out. Key to making any sprayer and sprayer pump last a long time is flush it out, clean it out before you put it up. This thing's 20 years old. I bought it when I first moved over here to the farm. That little 12 volt DC pump is 20 years old. Just flush it out good and make sure it pumps itself dry so water doesn't freeze in it over the winter, and boom, there you go. But that's been a perfect little sprayer for dealing with the lawn. Anyhow, let's get started drilling a hole. Yeah, I thought that bar was a lot heavier than the original axle bar. That turned out to be some pretty doggone hard steel. Took a while to get the first hole drilled, but those bits are pretty doggone good bits. took my time with it and did the graduated sizing across the bits and got it done. This, yeah, we all know that name. But anyhow, where we're at now is the keeper pin is on down there. That's all pushed down. That's pushed down. That's how it's going to line up. I got it marked where I need to drill the next hole. So drill a hole, and yeah, I got a lot of bar left over for the next project, but didn't have a lot of choice in that. That bar was the length it was where I bought it. I didn't go to like a steel center and say, I need a piece this long. I went to a place that had bars that long. There it is with its new tires, wheels, and me being OCD about stuff, and I never really looked at this thing until today, taking it apart and putting it back together like that. But those two black plastic spacers that keep the tires from rubbing against the tank, they're not the same length. One of them's just a little bit longer than the other one. That one's short, the tire's closer to the tank. That one's long, the tire's a little further away from the tank. And I'm not going to mess with it. You know, I've had things for 20 years like that. I reckon I'll have it another 20 years like that. But I like my bigger tires. It's going to work out great. See, the way this works, I had to modify the hitch. You want to pull the tank level so that you can spray all the fluid out of it. They wanted you to hook it like that. But if you do, it's sloping due to the height of my machine. So I adjusted it, did this years ago, and believe it or not, this works. You come up under here like that, put that on there like that, and I need to check this to find out if I'm going to have to adjust the height of this, which is easy enough to do. The pickup is right there, almost in the center of the tank. So you want the tank level when you're pulling it. And so I made this little drop down hitch thing, and it works. And I think, no, I'm still level. I mean, it's slightly, but it's not going to be enough to hurt anything. Alright, fixed. Another project, another repair project off the list of things to do. Too wet to try to get out here with these things and continue knocking down winter weeds. Ford 4000, John Deere BW 28 blade disc, John Deere 4020, John Deere RWA finishing disc. That does great for just cutting up surface residue. That does really nice for just starting to flip a little bit of soil. It was running, the last time I was out was with this disc behind this tractor, and I worked over this field here. You still see a little green on it because it's rained every day since I did it. But that soil's only cut about, I'd say, 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches deep.